Hey everybody, Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we're talking with Mr. Mark Bryan. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine. I had to acknowledge that it was okay for you to be recording me.
Yeah, so we're here to talk about you, about your music, and about just kind of what you do in the world. But for those who are new, can you give a little bit of an intro about yourself?
Yeah, Mark Bryan, from Washington D.C. area, where I'm sitting on the Capitol Beltway right now. Traffic. I'm on summer tour with my band Hootie and the Blowfish, and we have a day off, so I'm here in the homeland before traveling to Wisconsin. And Hootie and the Blowfish is in we're celebrating our 30th anniversary of our first major label album, Cracked Rear View, um, which just recently reached 22 million in sales, something nobody could have ever predicted.
Mhm.
Um, and it's amazing to be in a band that just started kind of together in college like a garage band and is still together at age 57 to 60. The four of us are.
Yeah.
So it's that's kind of in a nutshell been my adult life and career. It's been amazing. It's kind of living the dream come true thing.
Yeah, my dad introduced me to Hootie and the Blowfish. I can't even remember how far back now, but ever since it's been a staple on my playlist of making sure I keep a couple songs handy just to put in the rotation.
Man, thank you. That means a lot. And tell your dad thanks too.
I will. Yeah. He's gonna be excited about me just having this interview right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. So I guess the first big question is what really got you started in the music career?
I when I was around 14, I really got into playing guitar and found that it was a way that I could express myself uh, and come close to feeling what I was feeling from the music that was inspiring me at the time. And honestly, that's a lot of where my inspiration still comes from. Is just trying to capture that feeling and that energy that I get from my favorite music. Trying to convey that in my own way. And
Hmm.
yeah, so I think that's the root of it, really. And there's a lot of ways to answer that question, but still, I feel like that's the root of it, and I still feel like that's a common thread.
Yeah, for sure. Do you remember like the first album that you heard, back when you were younger that really sparked that though? Like, is there that one piece of music that was like, damn?
There's so many ways to answer that question too. I mean, like I obviously, my parents gave me my first exposure to music, and so they both had different tastes at the time, and so I have different answers from different parents. But my dad had a big doo wop in '50s and Elvis thing going on, and that's where his tastes were. And so I heard a lot of great doo wop and the Drifters and that kind of stuff through my dad, and then my mom was doing like kind of the music of the time, and it would be like these country singles like "I Love" by Charlie Rich, and then all of a sudden the Jesus Christ Superstar soundtrack, and so always kind of all over the place. And what I've always found my whole life is I gravitate towards great songs, no matter what the genre is or what the source of it is. I find myself, if I'm singing it later, it hits me in a certain way or whatever. And sometimes it's the music, not just the lyric or whatever. And so that's always, since I was young, that's always been, I found myself returning to things that hit me that way. And then eventually I tried to create it myself.
Yeah, I'm actually the same way. It doesn't matter where the song comes from. If it's done really well, if it's a great feel for the music, it's going to be a good song and it's going somewhere in a list for me. So I'm
Yeah, that's kind of why playlists are fun now, right? You can sort of, I don't know, they're expressive in a way. It's cool.
Yeah, you can do a lot with that for sure.
Yeah.
So when Hootie and the Blowfish started, you said it was more of a garage band type of thing. What How did you guys just decide to all of a sudden do that? Was it just for the love of music?
Well, Dean, the bass player, and I had played together in high school in like a cover band, and had it was a great band, great friends. We had a lot of fun with it. And then in college, Dean and I just happened to coincidentally go to University of South Carolina. And I lived on the same dorm hall as Darius. And then Darius and I started doing acoustic shows my freshman year. And it went really well. And so by the time we, like at the end of my freshman year, we decided we should make it a band. And Dean was the obvious choice on bass. And so Darius and Dean moved in together and were roommates all through college, which was fun.
Nice.
And we had a different drummer than Sony while we were in school. And then when we graduated, Sony joined up, and the rest is history.
Mm-hmm. So you guys have been through quite a lot in the industry. What's your thoughts on how things are progressing nowadays, especially in the digital era?
Man, it's a huge change on the business side. And I think that you look to what with that massive transformation in the industry, you look to what is the common thread, what's the thing that has hung in there the whole time and been consistent. And that's been touring and live music. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that in the industry that you see, it has not gone away in my lifetime, and it probably won't, because there's always that magic of live music and seeing your favorite musician do their thing in the moment, and the magic of that will never go away, I think. So that's been the consistent thing I've seen. And I love creating music as well, and producing and being involved with recorded music. But I look at that more now as an art form rather than a business source or an income source.
Mm-hmm. So you also have some solo stuff coming out. I believe there's a album coming in the fall, and you just released "Ain't Nothing Better."
Yes,
as a single.
Yes, exciting having new music. I have a new album called Popped.
Yeah,
and I'm just slowly releasing the songs from it, one at a time, as a chance to get people to hear them. I think if you just release the album, it gets lost quick. And so I feel like I'm releasing 6 singles before I release the album, and that just gives people a chance to actually hear the songs individually. Mm-hmm. And feel good about it. I'm making videos for them as well, which has been very fun.
Yeah, for sure. The move to some solo work, how does that differ from the band's kind of dynamic to now doing a lot of it in your own kind of space?
Yeah, when we're working with the band, we're a very democratic process in Hootie the Blowfish, and it's great. It makes for the sum being better than the parts, or whatever that phrase is, and that's a powerful, magical thing. But when that's not there in my life, I'm still creative, and so I just kind of have my process that I do when I make records, whether it's my own stuff or whether I'm producing another artist. And I've learned the process of making an album over the years, and so I have a lot of fun with that. And I just kind of dig in and try to find the right parts for the songs as I go. And it's fun at this age because I can play a lot of different instruments, so I'll add the parts myself. And then when it comes to horns and stuff like that, I'll bring in great players and work with them. Again, whether it's my own work or whether I'm producing another artist. So I just enjoy that whole process of arranging and recording songs, trying to make something timeless,
Yeah. That actually leads into my next question, was what is your favorite process if you had to pick out of the 3 of writing, production, or live music? They all give such a different feeling.
It's impossible to rank one above the other. And I think it's the whole cycle, the whole process is what I really love. I like the full circle aspect of coming up with creating something, germinating something in your head that who knows where they come from, and this idea comes, and it's something you get excited about, and then you're able to express yourself through a recording that then makes people come see you live and sing it along with you back to you. That full circle process is something that I can't compare to anything else that I've ever done in my life. I still have the young kid energy about it. It's still such a great thing to be involved with. So it's hard to put one above the other. It's sort of the cycle of the whole thing that I love. But if I got too old to tour or whatever, and I just could only sit around with a guitar and write songs, with that too,
Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
And I like writing on ukulele, and I like writing on piano, and
mm-hmm.
It's end up writing a different song than you would with a guitar. And so I'm enjoying that process of experimenting with different instruments and styles. And
Yeah, I mean, those sound fun for sure. So, how do you think your music has evolved over the years then when you're doing your own work?
um, that's a great question. I, I I guess when I was young, I had a little more raw punk energy in rock and roll, and as I've grown older, I'm not afraid to just sit down and write more of a ballad style song on a piano or whatever. And I think I've just grown as a musician, and that
Mhm.
has affected my songwriting over time. And then I think on a lyrical level, I've lived a lot more, obviously, is in my 50s than I did when I was writing songs in my 20s, and I have, I think, more to say and a different perspective. And so that changes as you grow older. Your songwriting sort of changes as you mature.
Mhm. So, with that in mind, what do you think is the most interesting thing you've learned about yourself growing through music?
Wow, what a deep question. Um, I think it is to the answer. The best answer I can give you to that is become more selfless. And I think when I was writing when I was young, it was like me, and this is what's going on with me. And now I might say me or I in the song, but I'm writing from a perspective of all of us. I want to share what I've been through and how it's helped me or what I've learned with everybody, so that if they're going through something, they can have that same experience and maybe grow from it or something like that. I want to have that aspect from my songs, because I've had that from my favorite songs than the way they've affected me.
Mhm.
So that's my goal, is to sort of have that same effect on other people through my music. And I can do that better and than I ever could. I'm more efficient at that than I've ever been. It's more fun than it's ever been. And like I said, I'm still excited about it as if I were like a teenager.
I
Let's
think
go.
that's the best part. If you're excited about something, it makes it easier to do.
I mean, it's just like I feel like I'm better at it than I ever was. So it's possible that my best songs and music are ahead of me, even at age 57. And I really mean it. And I
Mhm.
don't know. I have no idea if I'm right or wrong, but I'm gonna.
Well, I mean, it seems like it's working so far, so.
Well, I feel like Popped is my best record yet. And you have to listen to see. And it's my fifth solo album, but it's just the most refined and best songs, and it's the best my voice has sounded, and all that kind of stuff. And so I just feel like I'm in a place with the best record I've ever made. And if we're being honest, I wish it was a Hootie record. Man, I wish all these songs were part of a Hootie project. Like it'd be great if we were making a new album, but we're not. And so I just have to be patient for that. And in the meantime, I'm gonna release this and try to have fun with it.
Mhm. So you talked a bit about this being a good way for people to connect with it. How have you gotten over some of the hard points throughout the music career and just growing? I think a lot of people would be interested to know how you get over some of these difficult humps.
Again, I think it's been a process. It's a self-learning process, and it's about becoming just more and more selfless. And there's a lyric in one of my songs on the new album, because I'm giving up, taking, forgiving, and it's a little play on words. Obviously, I'm giving up, taking, forgiving, but it's the idea of just selflessness, and um, it's just a slow learning process for everybody as you mature. And so I'm writing about it as I go, I guess, and that's sort of been a central theme, I think. Some what you hear, and for whatever reason, light is a central theme in a lot of my lyrics. Um, and then another central theme that came up on this album that, again, I wasn't intentional about, but on hindsight, I've noticed that I reference truth a lot, and this necessity for us to all come from the same set of facts and truth, and how important that is for our society, for our relationships, our friendships, all of those things.
Mhm. For sure. Now, outside of music, what do you do to stay grounded? You go through a pretty hectic process in the music business and keep yourself level outside of that.
My I would say my number one hobby has been golf.
Okay.
And the old saying is that, golf is a microcosm of life, and I find that to be really true. And the game teaches me patience on a level that I can't really explain, other than just you have to play it to see what I mean. But um, so I really respect the game of golf, and I find it very meditative, and it's very different than being in a studio or being on stage.
Mhm.
It's really different. It's really cool. You're out in nature, and you're getting a groove, with your swing physically, and it's I just enjoy it on a deeper level than a lot of other things. Um, and sometimes when I'm home, it's like paddle boarding. It's another thing I'm really into, but I haven't been able to do that in a while.
Mhm. So in the back half of my interviews, I always ask some fun questions, maybe a couple out of the box ones. And I
Sure.
think my favorite one, which you might have a unique idea on, is what's one thing you think should be asked more in an interview that's not asked enough?
uh, well, you know, I haven't really thought about anything like that, because the interviews, I enjoy doing them, but it's always like it's more about making the music and playing the music is what I get so excited about.
Hmm.
So maybe, I don't know, it's just the opportunity to talk about that and express that. It just keep whatever's real. And this has been a great interview. A lot of them, the questions kind of veer off of what is real, and maybe want to talk about more of the hype or something like that. So I appreciate interviews like that keep it real and talk about the music.
I'm more interested to find out about you and what you do because I'm listening to the stuff you make, and now I get a better sense of kind of the whole process behind it. So that's exciting for me that way.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about that all day. I don't. It might bore some people, but like, the idea of just getting in the studio and with a bunch of instruments and ideas in my head and stuff, and trying to make something significant and something timeless is is just, I'll never get tired of it.
Mhm. So I'm curious what might be something that's on your go-to playlist that people might not expect you listen to.
That's a really good. I have a few cool answers to that, because we were talking about playlists earlier, and my friends have been sharing some. But first of all, I made a playlist that was called "Funky on Your Back," and it's all vintage funk. So I've
Okay.
really been enjoying that. My daughter list a couple summers ago that I still listen to all the time. And then, but most recently, we were in Mexico. Did I lose you?
Just for a second, but you're back now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so classic cumbias, and that's probably something you wouldn't expect to hear listening to that, but it's great.
Hmm. No, I mean I love diverse music, so I this question's fun for me because now I can go listen to some of the stuff that you're listening to and add to my collection.
There you go. And then um, another buddy turned me on to a playlist called Motel Soul that was sweet, just vintage R&B, great.
Mhm. No, that's I love some good R&B.
It's cool when you hear playlists like that, and you might hear a few songs that but then you hear a bunch of stuff that you've never heard before. That's so good.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what I think my favorite part about the digital age of music is you can find so many different things out there.
Yeah.
Hmm. So I'm curious, this is a fun one, is who plays you in the movie of your life and maybe even add the guys from the band in there too.
Somebody somebody referenced the guy from Cobra Kai on me this morning.
Okay.
Uh, so maybe him. Did I lose you?
It's
Hello?
it's choppy right now, but you're still kind of there.
Oh, did you get my answer?
I didn't hear it, no, but it might have recorded still in the audio.
Oh, anyway, it was I told you the guy from Cobra Kai, I can't remember his name. And then
Yeah,
if it
Johnny
was up,
something.
I said, yeah. And then if I said if it was up to me, it would be Owen Wilson or Matthew McConaughey.
Okay, I think those would be fun though.
Hell yeah.
Now I was
Oh, or or did I lose you?
yeah, the signal cut out again for a second right at the end of Michael Rappaport.
Hello, hello.
Hello?
I can catch your I can call him back. You heard me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No, that was what he that was the end of my answer. Okay.
Yeah, I heard the
Okay,
end.
cool.
I heard the Michael Rappaport part.
All right, we're good then.
So a couple last questions before we finish off. We briefly talked about what you hope people take away from your music, but is there
Hold, please. Back. You got me?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, cool.
We've only got a few minutes left anyway, so won't keep you too much longer.
Okay.
We talked about how what you hope people are taking away from your music, but is there an overarching theme that you're hoping to portray as you're doing things with, you said talk about light and truth and things like that?
That seems to be, you know, where I lead. It's not often always intentional, but it seems to be a lot of where my writing leads, and seems to be what I want to convey. It seems to matter to me as it keeps coming back up. Yeah. But again, it's none of it has been intentional. The album was not intentional. It's just I was just on a roll writing songs. Had a bunch of great stuff, and I had a bunch more ideas to go, but I stopped at 12 and went on tour.
Yeah. So with that being said, if you were to introduce your music, we'll say your solo stuff and your Hootie stuff for the very first time to a new listener, what's the first song they have to listen to off each?
It's a really hard question, man. Let's say let's go with good Lord, Earth Stop Cold at Dawn and City by a River.
Okay. I like both those choices, actually. Those are good ones. So
again, that's like I said earlier with some of your questions, like there's so many ways you could answer that question.
And they
I'm
can
just picking
change all the time.
One way.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So last but not least, I think the most important question is, are you happy?
Yeah. Yeah. Really. As I said earlier, I would love to have made a record this time, but it's okay that we did. Very happy.
I think happy is a good place to go.
Really happy right now. So,
well, folks, that was Mark Bryan from Hootie and the Blowfish. He might not be back before we finish, but it was great to get to chat with him. And we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on what he's doing.
are we good? Are we finished?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye now.